Hello everybody. This video is going to be all about N,N-dimethyltryptamine and its mysterious roles in nature. Now, what this video is mostly going to be comprised of is my personal notions that I've gotten from DMT, but not only my personal experiences, I guess you could say, but actually discovered facts as well that directly tie into DMT's role in nature. And at the end I might do a little bit of theorizing / philosophizing on what exactly this DMT thing could be. So in short, if you don't know what DMT is, DMT is a psychedelic compound or a hallucinogenic compound that is typically smoked if it's being done pure, but it can also be found as the active component of the Amazonian brew that is becoming much more popular these days, which is known as ayahuasca. DMT is what is the psychedelic component of that brew. And at least when I first got into psychedelics, DMT was referred to as the world's most powerful psychedelic, and that was really what brought me towards it. I don't know about now if it's considered the world's most powerful psychedelic, but that was how it was represented to me when I first started researching it. So yeah, DMT, it's a psychedelic drug, typically smoked unless it's being done in the form of ayahuasca or some pharmacological mixture, and it's known for creating a really quick and intense psychedelic experience that comes on nearly immediately and goes away just as fast. And it's known for making people feel as if they've broken through into another dimension or universe or reality. And oftentimes people encounter sentient beings in this broken through world. And I'm going to get all into that later on in the video. But I have some bullets here of, the specific things that I think are really, really mysterious about DMT. And that's what I'm going to use to guide the video. So with the first bullet being DMT is extremely abundant in nature. I think it can, as a matter of fact, be found in all kingdoms of life, plant, animal, insect, fungi. I can't think of any other kingdoms, but all those different kingdoms of life, DMT is either present or very close to being present, and the necessary biochemistry to synthesize DMT is right there. You know what I mean? DMT is very easy to be biosynthesized in life. It's found all throughout animals, all throughout plants, and in different concentrations in different things, Some things have a ton of DMT, while other things have very, very, very trace amounts of DMT. But nevertheless, it's there. DMT is present in an extraordinary percentage of nature in life. DMT is a tryptamine compound, and better yet, it's only two slight steps away from being a natural neurotransmitter in many different animals and plants, which is serotonin. Serotonin is what regulates the, at least in animals, waking consciousness and, the ties with mood that it has and perception and wakefulness and whatnot. I'm not exactly sure serotonin's role in plants, but serotonin is kind of like DMT to that extent, where it's very present, it's very abundant. And DMT, N,N-DMT, it basically looks identical to serotonin, which is a natural neurotransmitter. And if it is different, it is molecularly different, but that difference is extremely simple to take place in an animal or a plant or a fungi or whatever it might be. So basically the point of that first bullet there is if DMT isn't found in a specific thing, it is so close to being able to be found in that thing, because the system in it, it's like it's built to make it. It's like it's built to be there, you know, to some extent, to some sort of extent. So now that I've told you that DMT, you know, it's a psychedelic, it's all throughout nature, it's apparently in us right now, I feel I should talk a little bit about the experience itself, which, you know, alone, completely aside from everything else, is pretty much more mysterious and more bizarre and mystical than anything I'm about to describe to you right now. The experience of DMT is, to me, still to this day, the most far out place I've ever been. You can't even call it really a place. It's more like another life. It's more like another experience. And it is a complete shift in this reality, you know? And it's not like normal psychedelics. I mean, maybe it's associated with the smoking and how quickly it comes on, but comparing DMT to, say, LSD and mushrooms, in my experience, it's not the same. It's not the same. DMT seems to be doing something different. And, you know, to describe the experience, you smoke it, and all of a sudden your whole body feels like it's like your whole body is rushing, but nothing's happening at the same time. And then, you know, if you took a sufficient dose, your vision will start to basically fall apart or transform into psychedelic hallucinations, and it can do it in different ways every time. It's not the same straightforward, oh, here comes DMT, you know. I mean, the matter of doing it and blasting off is pretty predictable if you had taken a high dose, but the way it happens isn't the same every single time, you know. Sometimes it will look, you know, as you're coming up on it, everything will look like it's shuddering and jittering. Sometimes things look completely still, but they look like they've been completely transformed and like flip-flopped around, and everything just looks destroyed in front of you, and it's static. It's not moving, it's not breathing and morphing. You know what I mean? It's just this completely bizarre image in front of you. And then, you know, you ascend into the breakthrough. And when I say that, I usually just mean it basically, it gets so intense to the point, you know, it's 30 seconds in, maybe even 20 seconds in, maybe a little longer, depending on how quickly you ingested it. You get the desire to just shut your eyes, maybe lay back, and when you do that, that's when the experience seems to shift, you know, and it takes you on a fucking ride. It takes you, you know, it's like it's showing you all these crazy geometric things and structures and designs, and other times it's like you're passing through hallways and landscapes and sceneries and different huge structures, and other times there's beings there that you can see moving around doing all this stuff that look alien and human at the same time, and they could be talking to you, they could be completely communicating with you. I think I accidentally killed a DMT entity one time in one of my trips because I was interacting with it. But yeah, it's like there's actual people in there or things in there that know you're in there, you know, and are communicating with you, or are getting like rambunctious and worked up that you're there or something, or I wouldn't say angry or, you know, mean that you're there. It doesn't seem like they have that nature, but maybe I just haven't had that kind of trip. But Yeah, the DMT experience is far different than any other psychedelic experience I've had yet. You know what I mean? It it's like when you do DMT, or when I do DMT, when I go into it, it's like, all right, here I come, DMT. I'm gonna do the thing, and I smoke it, and it's like the DMT's like, all right, that's your bullshit that you're bringing to the table. Let's just put that to the side real quick and look at this. Look what I can do, And it does something completely different than everything else. It seems to take you somewhere. You seem to go somewhere, or it seems to swarm in on you and come to you, and you join with it, and all these crazy notions. Yeah, feelings of being reborn. Many times on DMT, it's felt like this is home. The place I am at when I'm on DMT is home. It's familiar. It's where I'm originally from. It's my source. It's my origin. It's where I come from. And it's that weird feeling of reconnecting to something that you lost long ago or forgot long ago or something. It's very, very strange. It feels like your brain or your very being is rejoicing and is reunited with itself or with this state in general. And it's a very weird feeling to get into that psychedelic space and feel like I've been here before. I know this place. This place is part of me. This place is part of me. I know this place so dearly, And that's just one of the many things that take place on DMT experiences. Ties with the pineal gland. Okay, this is where it gets a little fun. So the pineal gland, if you don't know, it's a little gland in the middle of your brain, located between the two halves. I don't know if that's important or whatever, but it's just kind of cool. And if you know anything about the pineal gland, you probably know that it's associated with being the third eye. The mysterious third eye that I actually... Here, hold on, let me grab it real quick, I'll show you. Okay, so this right here is a sculpture of the pineal gland, but it's painted and, it's painted to... what this is. What this is the Eye of Ra, an Egyptian symbol. And it's painted to demonstrate how the Eye of Ra looks exactly like the pineal gland. The eye, I believe either the pupil is the pineal gland, this right here, or this little pink thing right here is the pineal gland. And what this thing right here is showing is how the descriptions of the third eye, are tie back into this thing we call the pineal gland. Now, there's quite a few different, sub-notes, sub-bullets I have here about why it's, how DMT ties into the pineal gland and why it's so fucked in how it does. So I guess I'll start off with the idea of DMT being a bioluminescent compound. So, bioluminescent means it's something that can create its own light, generally by interacting with itself or, like hitting up against itself. And you can think of something like, the first thing I think of is quartz, is bioluminescent, where if you go in a dark room with two quartz crystals and you clack them together, you'll see light forming inside of them. It's actually really extraordinary and cool looking. I've done it. And you see light glowing through the crystals. And this is called bioluminescence. And it's just a type of phenomenon that can occur with certain molecules, maybe just crystals, I'm not sure, but certain molecules are bioluminescent. Now, in the pineal gland, there are bioluminescent chemicals. Chemicals that, if they rub against each other, they emit light. They emit a form of light. And don't quote me on this, but I think melatonin itself, which is produced in the pineal gland, that's like what the pineal gland does, is release melatonin or produce melatonin to regulate the sleeping, just the sleeping consciousness. The pineal gland has in it bioluminescent crystals. And it has melatonin in it, which is like the sister of serotonin. And like I was talking about earlier, DMT is basically identical to serotonin. DMT itself is also a bioluminescent chemical. If you get on a microscopic level and scrape DMT crystals together, they create and emit light. Now let's imagine that DMT, where it's produced in the body is the pineal gland, which is what many people think. Rick Strassman theorizes on this, who wrote DMT, the spirit molecule, which was the first FDA-approved DMT studies on people. He personally believes that DMT is produced in the pineal glands of human beings. So, if that's the case, it's actually, it is the case for certain animals like rats. DMT is produced in their pineal glands. It's found in their liver, it's found in their blood. I've heard things that DMT is found in our skin tissue. They just haven't found out that DMT is in human pineal glands because you can't legally do that kind of experiment. Assuming DMT is in our pineal glands right now, and assuming DMT can create and emit light when it interacts with itself, let's think about the idea that the pineal gland has rods and cones in it, as does the eyes. The eyes are the only other part of the body that has rods and cones, and your eyes are what see. Why does the pineal gland have rods and cones in it? Like it needs to see something? Well, my idea is that the rods and cones in the pineal gland are to see the visions of DMT, be it natural or endogenous, or when you smoke it. When you smoke DMT, the way you're seeing what you're seeing is by the pineal gland seeing it through its function of seeing in the mind, in your brain. That is what the DMT light is doing. That's what you're seeing. You know what I mean? And not only the idea that when you do DMT, what you're seeing is from the DMT emitting light out of your pineal gland. I like to think about imagination. And how you can see things in your mind. You can visualization. You think apple. You see that apple or orange. You see that chair. You see that door. You see that whatever. How you can see it in your head. Where is that image coming from? And who's to say it's not powered by, the pineal gland, and furthermore, DMT in the pineal gland emitting light is what allows you to visualize in your mind. Because I actually, to tie it further into this, I had one experience with DMT. I only did a little bit, and it was doing this very weird thing where when I would think of something, I would see it in my mind, and then all of a sudden it would distort and animate and become a life of its own and start doing all these weird things, And I remember I thought of an orange, and I was on this little bit of DMT, and the image of the orange appeared, and then all of a sudden it grew leaves and vines, and it was doing this thing, and then I thought of a pair of eyes, and I saw eyes in my mind, and then all of a sudden eyelids came out from, around them and disappeared, and it got really veiny, and they looked to the left, and they had the little tails behind them as if they were pulled out of your head. I didn't fucking think of that. You know what I mean? I didn't think of that when I thought of eyes. At least I didn't mean to. And what it felt like was the DMT was altering my perception of thoughts. When I would think something, DMT did something to that image I saw. I could think what I wanted, but DMT did what it wanted to the product of my thoughts, being the internal imagery in my mind. It's a really far out idea. Really far out idea. This is just a really quick little fun fact, but it makes it all the more mysterious. The fastest compounds that the human body can absorb are glucose, which is sugar, and DMT. DMT is the second most fastest absorbed molecule in the human body, and maybe even other animals and stuff like that as well. It's like you're ready for it. Your brain and body is ready for DMT. Be it ready to produce it, on the verge of producing it, or completely ready to receive it on the very instant it appears. It's completely ready for it. It's completely it's like it's expecting it. This is my last bullet point here, but ties with NDEs, which stands for near-death experiences. Now, countless amounts of times I've watched videos of comparisons between DMT trips and near-death experiences, where they were directly associating the two. And I've watched videos and documentaries of just stuff about near-death experiences where they're not even talking about DMT or even know about it. And they're if I didn't know they were talking about a near-death experience, I'd think they were talking about a DMT trip. So many different near-death experiences are associated with, I felt like I was giving out, and then I let go into it, and I felt the most joy I ever have, and it was like I was going through this tunnel of geometry, and on the other side were all these beings that loved me and cared for me, and there was this white light that just evoked just this pure, ecstatic love and bliss, and, I'm sitting here, and it's like, dude, you were having a DMT breakthrough, but you came back, Oh shit, there's a few more things actually I can mention here, but I'll stick with near-death experiences and the associations with that to DMT for a minute, because that in itself is pretty far out. That when the human body, be it traumatically or naturally, begins to die, whatever that is, it seems like a lot of the time, if you have a perceivable experience amidst that dying, it's usually a lot like DMT trips. And it's almost like DMT gets released when you're dying. And maybe it guides you out of your body. It guides you out of your dying body. It guides what you are, your soul, in this dying body that is no longer functioning. It releases DMT, this magic soul transporter gateway, and as it activates, it opens up another link of life or consciousness, and it allows you to move through it into another experience, be it the DMT experience, or the DMT is more so like a vehicle in between universes or lives or experiences, you know? It's almost like DMT in the natural human body is ejecting your consciousness when it's released naturally, you know, like when you're dying. It's very far out stuff, this whole DMT thing. And what it was that I noticed that I hadn't touched on was dreaming. Think about some of the past dreams you've had. I don't know how well you can recall your dream world, but when I look back on it, generally my dreams are very trippy, very confusing, very rushy, and like something's going on, or something needs to be done, or there seems to be distortions and illusions going on that aren't actually physically possible, I guess you could say, you know what I mean? And every now and then I've thought to myself, you know, what if when you're in REM sleep, which is when you dream, tiny little surges of DMT are released out of your pineal gland, and be it seen with your eyes or just the dream world itself, when this tiny little surge of DMT is released while you're sleeping, it's perceived, and for a brief moment it activates, and what you get out of that is what you call a long and adventurous dream. You know what I mean? Just this little blast of DMT in the middle of the night. All of a sudden you have these crazy visions, you feel like you're there, but you're not considering that you're still sleeping, you're not considering that you're in a dream, you know what I mean? Which is very similar to DMT. And also, you're in the dream, you're doing the thing, things are happening, and then all of a sudden your alarm goes off, or something bangs, and you wake up, and as your feet touch the ground, you can't even grasp what it was that you were just dreaming about. You were like, what was I doing? It's like, and it's right there, it's on the tip of your tongue, you were literally just there, but you can't comprehend it anymore, and you're like, what the hell? Where's it going? Why is my dream? You know what I mean? I was just there. You know, I've gotten up in the middle of the night and was just thinking about the dreams, how crazy they were, and I went into the bathroom, and as I'm going to the bathroom, I don't remember my dreams anymore. And I'm like, I was literally just actively thinking about them. How can it just fade away? And that is very much so like DMT. DMT seems to just, you know, as you come out of it, it's like, I'm gonna just grab everything and pull it back into my world. You know what I mean? It's like you don't take anything from it besides the. It's like you make these little links in moments when you're in the DMT trip, and you're like, that's what happened. That's what happened, even during it, you know, maybe. And that's what you talk about when you come out of it, is these little links that you made in your mind while it was happening. And maybe it was some sort of dialogue you put together, or storyline, or burnt in images, which is usually how mine are, that I kind of like sequence together usually, unless I remember specific details out of it, you know, which I do in some experiences. But yeah, man, DMT, really far out. I guess I have one more little weird thing to say before I let you all go, but Terence McKenna, who is a huge advocate of psychedelics, mainly mushrooms and DMT, back in the 90s and 80s and stuff, he shared a story one time. He said he was in India or or like Tibet. Yeah, he was in Tibet And he shared DMT with a Tibetan monk who practiced all these crazy, far out stuff. And when the monk came back from the DMT trip, he said to Terrence, "That's as far as the human mind can go into the bardo state, which is the in-between of life and rebirth, or death and rebirth. That is as far the human mind can go into the bardo state without not coming back." One more time. That is as far as the human mind can go into the bardo state without not coming back. So if you put that statement together, what he's saying is that when you do DMT, a sufficient amount, where you go is as far away from this life, this state of being, that's as far into the afterlife as you can go without staying there, without not coming back. And what that means is when you die, not when you smoke it, when you die, you go there. You're released into the bardos, But when you smoke DMT while you're still on a living, functioning body, there's a link, and you go out into the afterlife, but you're brought back because your body and your life and your soul is still tied into this conjoined, functioning organism. And I just thought that was, the icing on the cake, really. That shit, it's so far out, all these different notions of DMT and its role in consciousness and life and death and mysticism and nature. It's just like there's too many synchronicities, there's too much stuff going on for it not to be something fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like I said in the beginning of the video, I do a little theorizing on what I think DMT is, and I'll share that with you real quick. I don't want the video to cut off on me though, but I want to share it with you. I've thought to myself before that DMT, let me think how to word this. It's a metabolite for consciousness. It's a metabolite for consciousness. In that, all things that have DMT have a source of consciousness in them. And DMT is what allows that said consciousness to enter in and out of that said structure or organism or functioning thing. I have DMT in me because I need to be conscious. I need to be something. I need to see and feel and be this experience. But I'm not going to be that experience forever. And that's also why DMT is there, is because it brings you in and out. It breaks down your consciousness and builds it back up and puts and transports it. It's like it moves your consciousness around. On a natural level, it's as if, I've thought to myself, it's like it's what brings you here and takes you. It's what brings you here and takes you away. But when you smoke it, you're doing some fucking with the Matrix type stuff, and you're smoking death. You're smoking consciousness. You're smoking the thing that transports you from one dimension to the other. And another theory I've had is that DMT is the molecular, material form of consciousness itself. Because we think all these things have a material form to them. Consciousness must be something. Maybe it's DMT. Maybe DMT is the molecular form of consciousness itself. That one's a little bit more of a play, but it's possible. I don't know. We don't know what is and isn't possible, you know what I mean? So don't not consider it. But yeah, anyways, I think that's it. I ran through my bullet points. I feel like this is a good video to make because I was having a conversation with my mom and brother about it last week, and it's something that's just been a very peculiar topic for a few years now, you know, is why are there all these mysterious things going on with DMT? Why does it seem so necessary? Why does it seem so readily available and readily experienced? And you think about all that, and then you look at the experience that happens when you do it. Why is that necessary? Why is that readily available? Why is that easily experienceable? Why does life need DMT? It's a really good question. So with that said, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will be back with more.